Some of my viewers recently migrated to the UK with their family on the creative worker visa. And I've also got messages from my beautiful viewers as well to talk more about the creative worker visa. So in today's video, guys, I'll be talking about how you can migrate to the UK on the creative worker visa with your family, and not just how you can migrate to the UK on the creative worker visa with your family. As well, I'm going to leave the companies that you can contact as well to see if they've got any vacancies that you can apply to enable you migrate with your family. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Fajira. If you're joining me for the very first time, I'm so happy to have you all in our beautiful family. For my returning subscribers, thank you for always coming back to watch my videos. I really do appreciate, and like you all know, I create content on how you can migrate to the UK, jobs with visa sponsorship in the UK, UK immigration updates, life in the UK, scholarships in the UK, like everything you can think about the UK. So if you're someone who is interested in such content, do hit on that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, so each time I upload a new video, you're going to be the very first person to see that. I earlier said that I'll be talking about the creative worker visa, and the creative worker visa allows you to migrate to the UK, not just you alone, with your dependent. Like we all know, if you're coming to the UK now as a care worker, you're not allowed to come with your dependent or as a senior carer, except you're able to get a job in NHS. And quite a good number of people have inboxed me to ask me which other means they can migrate to the UK through, which is why I have to film this video. And at the same time, one of my viewers just migrated to the UK with his family on the creative worker visa, and I thought it's very important I share this video so you can also start looking at the creative worker visa. Even if we know that the visa does not lead to settlement, at least you can switch from the creative worker visa to another category of visa that leads to settlement. As you can see on my screen, what is a creative worker visa, or let's say who is a creative worker? Creative worker is an overseas national who can make a unique contribution to the UK's rich cultural life. For example, an entertainer, a musician, dancer or actor, and can include any technical and support staff known as their entourage. The creative worker route also includes anyone working as a model contributing to the UK's fashion industry. So let's go to the overview. You must apply for a temporary work, which is a creative worker visa, if you have been offered work in the UK as a creative worker. You meet the other eligibility requirements, which I will also share as well. A creative worker is someone who works in the creative industries, for example, an actor, dancer, musician, or film crew member. So this visa has replaced the temporary worker visa. In the past, I think about 2 years ago, if you come to the UK as a visitor, you can actually switch to the creative worker visa, but it's changed now. You cannot switch from a visiting visa to the creative worker visa. But in the past, you could do that. So just as you can see on my screen, you need to have a certificate of sponsorship from a licensed sponsor before you can apply to come to the UK to work. What you do in the UK must relate to the work of your sponsor organization. Like every other visa, you can always apply 3 months before the start date of the job you're coming to do. So just as you can see on my screen, how long it takes. You can apply for this visa up to 3 months before the day you're due to start your work in the UK. This date is listed on your certificate of sponsorship. Like we know, the certificate of sponsorship is valid for 3 months. So as part of your application, you will need to prove your identity and provide your documents. You may need to allow extra time if you need an appointment to do this. You will find that if you need one when you start your application. The good thing about this creative worker visa is that you don't need your English proficiency, you don't need IELTS, NERIC, UK certificate or anything to prove your English. You just apply for it. But at any point you want to switch from this visa to another category of visa, you will need your English proficiency. So just as you can see, getting a decision on this visa, once you have applied online and proved your identity and provided your documents, you will usually get a decision on your visa within 3 weeks if you're outside the UK and 8 weeks if you're within the UK. You may even pay for priority service as well. How much does this visa cost? As you can see on my screen, your partner or children will each need to pay the application fee, pay the health surcharge, which is usually £1,035 per year. You can check how much you will have to pay. So you can actually calculate how much you will have to pay when you're applying for your family with the link. I will leave this link in the description of this video so you can also read as well and check your eligibility on your own. You need to prove that you have enough personal savings, and you can use the link as you can see on my screen to check how much. Now you have to show that you have £1,270. A lot has changed recently in the UK, but I'm glad that the proof of funds, like what you need to have in your bank account for most of the UK visas, have not changed. It still remains 1,270. But now, if your sponsor have ticked the maintenance, you don't need to prove that for you and your dependents. But if they have not ticked the maintenance, then you will have to prove that by having £1,270 for a minimum of 28 days. Always advise that you have it for at least 35 days in your bank account because of the exchange rate. As you can see on my screen, I know this is what a lot of people will be asking: how long can you stay on the creative worker visa? You can come to the UK for a maximum of up to 12 months, or the time given in your certificate of sponsorship plus up to 28 days, whichever is shorter. I've actually seen a creative worker certificate of sponsorship that was issued for 2 years. Now, like I said, the good thing about this visa is that when you move to the UK, you'll be doing your job. Your partner can also switch to another category of visa, can switch to a skilled worker visa. The only disadvantage of this visa is that it does not lead to settlement. But while you're in the UK on this visa, you can as well apply for a job in an organization that sponsors, maybe for tier 2, or maybe you'd go for global talent or innovator founder visa. Any category of visa that leads to settlement, you can actually switch from this visa to that category of visa. Now, what you can do and what you cannot do on this visa, guys, please like and share this video with your friends and loved ones. I'm going to leave to share all the companies that sponsors on creative worker visa, so you can contact them to see if they've got any vacancies you can apply for. So just as you can see, there are certain things you cannot do on most UK visas, and it's also similar to the creative worker visa. As you can see on my screen, what you can and cannot do: you can study for some courses. You will need an academic technology approval scheme certificate. Work for your sponsor in the job described in your certificate of sponsorship. Do a second job in the same sector and at the same level as your main job for up to 20 hours per week. A job on the skilled worker immigration salary list. Leave the salary list in the description of this video as well, for up to 20 hours per week. Bring your partner and children with you as your dependent if they are eligible. Now, you cannot get public funds, which is normal with UK visa, especially when you've not got your indefinite leave to remain, not entitled to public funds. Now, you cannot start your own business. Also similar with tier 2 worker visa. If you're on the skilled worker visa as well, or maybe the health and care worker visa, you cannot start your own business, but your dependents can start a business, but you as a main applicant cannot start your business. So let's go to the next page, as you can see on my screen. So for the eligibility, as you can see, you will need all the following to be eligible for the creative category. Make a unique contribution to the UK labour market. For example, you're intentionally renowned or required for continuity. Certificate of sponsorship reference number, which is the COS reference number. Have enough money to support yourself in the UK. We usually need to have at least £1,270 available, unless you're exempt. You're only exempt if your employer have ticked the maintenance. Your employer must make sure your job pays at least the minimum wage and follows the UK rules for how many hours a week you work. If your employer does not do this, your application will be refused. So this will always be stated on your certificate of sponsorship. You need a licensed sponsor to give you a certificate of sponsorship before you can apply to work in the UK. A certificate of sponsorship is a reference number which holds information about the job and your personal details. It is not an actual certificate or paper document. We all know what the COS is. Your sponsor will give you your certificate of sponsorship reference number. They must also give you some other information to help you to apply. For example, how much you will be paid. Your certificate of sponsorship is valid for 3 months from the date it is assigned to you. I'm going to show you some companies you can contact. From what I've done from the register of the licensed sponsors, have filtered all the companies that can sponsor you on the creative worker visa, so you can take your time to just focus on them and go to their website, or maybe possibly contact them if you've got any of the skills they are looking at. So just as you can see on my screen, this is a 45-page document, and there are lots of companies that can sponsor you on the creative worker visa. As you can see, Home Accommodation Service Limited, organization name, the town, city, the county, the type and rating, and the route. So the first on my list, as you can see, is Home Accommodation Services Limited. This is in London. So leave the link to this document in the description of this video, or I will leave it on my story on Instagram at Fajirasconcept. So kindly go through this. As you can see, these are all the companies in the UK, all the companies that can sponsor you on the creative worker visa. Just as you can see, Art of Love International. Just carry on going, and just as you see, to their website and see if they are currently advertising any role you know you will fit in. And like I would always say, ensure that when submitting an application for any of these roles, look at the job description and edit your CV to best fit the job description, so it will give you a better opportunity to be invited for an interview. So this is it. The list is really long. All the companies on this list are companies that can sponsor you on the creative worker visa. Just as you can see on my screen, if you want to change your sponsor, you've come on the creative worker visa and you want to change your sponsor. Now you must apply again and meet all the eligibility rules if you want to change your sponsor within the same organization or move to a new organization. Changing your sponsor does not change how long you can stay in the UK. You can only stay the maximum length of time allowed by this visa. So the maximum time allowed by this visa is always stated on your certificate of sponsorship before you apply for your visa. So multiple jobs when you are on a creative work, your sponsor can give you a certificate that covers the entire length of your stay, even if you need to perform at more than one engagement. If you're working for more than one sponsor, you can get a certificate from each sponsor. There cannot be a gap of more than 14 days between each job. If you leave the UK and come back, your time will not count towards those 14 days. If you watched my previous video, I talked about how they were asking for different proofs. Just make sure that you have everything intact. So while you're applying for the visa, it makes everything easy for you as well. If you're from a country where you have to take the tuberculosis test, you will need it. And as you can see on the document required, you can see that there is nowhere that IELTS or English proficiency is written on it, which makes it very good. But like I said, when you want to move to another category of visa, let's say maybe the work visa, which is a skilled worker visa, you will have to present your English proficiency. So even if you have migrated to the UK on the creative worker visa, try to start preparing for your IELTS if you don't have, or before you migrate, make sure you apply for your NARIC, which is your ethics. You will need a blank page on your passport for your visa to be approved. You may need to provide additional documents depending on your circumstances. So let's go to the next. As you can see on my screen, this is the application, but you need to have all of these documents before you apply. As you can see on my screen, when applying, it's just like applying for any other UK visa. I'm not going to read that out. I'm just going to leave it on the screen so you can read it yourself. It's still the same process. So apply from inside the UK. You can only extend your existing visa if you're already in the UK. So let's go to the next, which is your partner and children, which is a good thing about this visa. And children can also apply to join you or stay in the UK as your dependents if they are eligible. Partner or child's application is successful, their visa will usually end on the same date as yours, which is normal with every UK visa. Child's parents have visas with different expiring dates. The child's visa will end on the earlier date. So if you have to extend the creative worker visa, ensure that when you are extending that visa, make sure you apply for all your dependents, so the visa is going to end at the same time. A dependent partner or child is any of the following: your husband, wife, civil partner, or unmarried partner. Your child under 18, so any child that is under 18 can apply as your dependent, including if they were born in the UK during your stay. Your child over 18 if they are currently in the UK as your dependent. Please provide evidence of your relationship to your dependent when you apply. You must be able to prove one of the following: you are in a civil partnership or marriage that is recognized in the UK. You've been living together in a relationship for at least 2 years when you apply. You've been in a relationship for at least 2 years when you apply, but you cannot live together. For example, because you're working or studying in different places, or it's not accepted in your culture. If you're not living together, you will need to prove that you have an ongoing commitment to each other. For example, by providing evidences that you communicate regularly with each other, support each other financially, care for any children you have together, spend time together as a couple, for example, on holiday or at events. They must live with you unless they are living away from home in full-time education, for example, at boarding school or university. Not be married or in a civil partnership. You will need to provide evidence of their address, such as bank statements, credit cards, bills, driving license, NHS registration document, and official letter from the university. This is the same requirement with the skilled worker visa. Money you will need to support yourselves. Your partner and children must have a certain amount of money available to support themselves while they are in the UK. You or your partner or child will need £285 for your partner, 315 for your child, £200 for each additional child. With this, you can migrate to the UK on the creative worker visa with your family. And like I said, once you're in the UK, you can look for another sponsorship that can sponsor you and your family that will lead to settlement. If you extend your visa, your partner or child's current visa will still be valid until its original end date. Partner or child need to apply to extend or switch their visa either at the same time as you, as earlier mentioned, at any time before their current visa expires. This includes children who have turned 18 during your stay. Your partner or children cannot apply to switch to your visa as your dependent if they are currently in the UK on a visit visa, on a short-term student visa, on a parent of a child student visa, on a seasonal worker visa, on a domestic worker in a private household visa, on immigration bay because they were given permission to stay outside the immigration rules, for example, on compassionate ground. If your partner or child is currently in the UK on a student visa, they can only switch if they have either completed the course they were sponsored to study for PhD for at least 24 months. And how to apply. The application form will tell you if you can include your partner and children in your application or whether they need to apply separately. So for this visa, if you're applying in the UK, it takes 8 weeks for you to get a decision on this visa. So children born in the UK, if you have a child while you're in the UK, they do not automatically become a British citizen. You must apply for your child's dependent visa if you want to travel in and out of the UK with them. But like I always mention in my videos, that if you don't have any intention to travel out of the UK and your child is born in the UK, you don't really need to apply for a visa for that child, because when coming back, you will also need a visa as well. Then each visa you're moving to, the child will start moving to those visas with you. So just as you can see, what your partner or child can do and cannot do. Your partner or children on the creative worker visa can work except as a sports person or coach. They can study, which means they can go to school. They can travel abroad and return to the UK. They cannot apply for most benefits, public funds, or state pension. If their application is successful, they will get a full list of what they can and cannot do. So just as you can see, it's like every other category of visa. So extending the creative worker visa, as you can see on my screen, you can apply to extend your temporary creative worker visa. You should apply before your current visa expires. You cannot extend your stay if you have used the creative worker visa concession to enter the UK. So this particular one, you don't really need to apply for a visa. You just come with the COS. Especially if you're coming to do a job that is less than 3 months, you will always be advised to use the concession instead of applying for the visa. Continue to meet the eligibility rules. You must be in the UK to extend your visa. Of course, you cannot extend the visa outside the UK. How long you can stay? If you're changing sponsors, you can extend your visa for whichever is the shortest of the time on your certificate of sponsorship plus 14 days, the time needed to extend your stay to the maximum of 12 months. You're staying with the same sponsor, you can extend your visa for whichever is the shortest of 12 months, the time on your certificate of sponsorship plus 14 days, the time needed to extend your stay to the maximum of 24 months. So like I earlier mentioned, that this visa will allow you to move to the UK with your family. And the good thing about it is that you can switch to another company that will lead to settlement. You can only have the creative worker visa for a maximum of 24 months. So if you're one of those who have been looking for a way to migrate to the UK with your dependents, this is another option for you, which I would suggest you take advantage of it. Start looking out for companies that are recruiting on the creative worker visa, send in your application, and I wish you good luck in your job search. And I will leave the register of the licensed sponsors. Also check if I can leave the PDF in the description of this video. But if I cannot leave the PDF, I'll pin it on my story on Instagram so you can easily download it from there. I don't know if that's gonna work. I will just think of the best way it will work and make it available for everyone. So when searching for companies that are recruiting on the creative worker visa, it's very easy for you to see all the companies that can sponsor you on the creative worker visa. Wish you good luck in all you do. So guys, this brings us to the end of today's video, and I'll do my best to look out for companies as well that are recruiting on the creative worker visa. I will share it on this platform, and at the same time you also do your independent research as well. And I wish you good luck in your job search, your application, and I look forward to receiving your testimonies in no time. And if you're yet to subscribe to join our beautiful family, or if you find this video helpful, please do like and share. Also hit on that subscribe button to join our beautiful family. I see you in my next video, guys. Do take care and have a lovely day. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye for now.